What's up, boys? Today we're going to be talking about the 2023 Yamaha 250 and really just kind of the meta of the 250s going into outdoors in general. I really like this bike. I think this bike is just as fast as the KTM with the right gearing and has incredible suspension. Honestly, it has, in my opinion, I think it has the best suspension of any of the 250s. It's like, it almost feels kind of broken going down these hills. It's so like soft and just plush and perfect. At the end of this video, I will show you a hot lap that I did where I did a 23 on San Bernardino 2007, which is the track that we're on right now. My Ghost is on a 23.5 and I finished right behind him. And yeah, so that's, if you guys have ridden this track, you guys know that's a burner for especially for a 250. That's a pretty fast lap on this track. And I think it really comes down to how this bike handles the downhills. Like, it just goes through the rough stuff so good. And it really doesn't feel like it even kicks you at all. It just kind of glides across everything. Like, oh my gosh, like it feels so different compared to any of the other 250s. Like even the KTM can get down it for sure, but the KTM feels like it feels like we're going down Glen Helen, you know, Mount St. Helens. It feels rough. This one, it almost feels like I don't know, look at that. Like you could just kind of skim down everything. I didn't even have to touch the brakes. Well, that is a big thing I would tell you. On these big hills, I would highly encourage you not to touch the brakes going down the hills. MX bikes, as soon as you start touching brakes, it just likes to lock up. But really, I did a lot of testing a couple days ago on 250s, trying to see, you know, what I think would be the next, or a good bike for MXGP and outdoors. Because, you know, everyone's on the KTM, but I do think the KTM is the meta, KTM and the Husky for sure, in Supercross. Because it's just a lot faster. Like it has a lot more bottom end than the other 250s, even this thing. But in outdoors, I'm not sure that that's really gonna matter. And I really liked, when I did all my testing, I really liked the KTM. The Husky seemed like the Husky could be really good with the setup. Same with the Gas. And the two that really stuck out to me and surprised me were this bike, the 2023, and the Kawasaki, the KX. But the thing I'm unsure about these bikes, and could be a huge deal breaker, similar to why I think the Fantic is kind of not the best in Supercross, at least the Fantic 450. The Fantic 450 feels really good until there's E-Road, and then the Fantic 450 kind of falls apart. And I'm curious how these bikes will do, the KX and Yami will do with E-Road, because, you know, the KTM and the Husky are kind of proven that they'll kind of bark in E-Road no matter what. And so hopefully when servers get back up, we can run some E-Road. And I know some people might be like, well, just run E-Road yourself and see how it is. But it's different. I can hit the same exact line over and over and over again, you know, I mean, pretty consistently. So my E-Road will be a lot skinnier, a lot more narrow than what your E-Road will be in a pub lobby, right? Like, because in a pub lobby, there's people of all different skill levels, people not able to make the corners, people not, you know, corner entry isn't good. So the E-Road in a pub lobby, or even the E-Road in a pro race, is a lot different than E-Road in testing by yourself. Plus, the higher E-Road you use, the more choppy the E-Road is, and obviously the lower you use, the more smooth and kind of consistent the E-Road will be. Look how good that just soaked up that downhill. Like, it's, I don't know, man, this thing, it'll kick around and then it just grabs, and it's just so good. The power seems really, really good on this thing too. Like, I think I'm running 1450 gearing or 1350. I'm not sure. I can check at the end of this, but it just seems really good. The second gear and the third gear are really, really usable, and it pulls and pulls and pulls. And I feel like, oh, another thing I discovered in outdoors is definitely run the 110 on the 250s. In Supercross, I don't really like running the 110. I like the 120. It just seems like I can just be I don't have to think as much about throttle control, and I don't feel like I need that power nearly as much. I feel like I can still get triple ins and quads and whatever. But here, man, in outdoors, that 110 makes a big difference, I think, across a whole outdoor track. It's fast down the straights, like real fast down the straights, and it just seems to pull and pull and pull. And I feel like the loss of traction in the corners on the rear end, these tires are interesting. Once you're up to speed, I don't really feel like you lose that much traction. And so since you're going so much faster in outdoors and you're kind of always on the throttle a little bit, like I feel like on the 110 you're not really losing that much traction. That would be like that corner right there, pretty much the slowest corner of the whole track. And it doesn't really bother me, you know, like I feel like I don't even really notice the 110. I don't really notice that I'm losing traction anywhere. It just feels good. I really hope to see in MXGP or outdoors that we have a little bit of, you know, different diversity in the bikes. Like I said earlier, I think the KX can be a very, very good option. The KX felt really good. The Kawasaki 250 felt really, really good. And I'm just curious how it does in E-Road. It could be totally fine. I've heard that it's really bad in E-Road, and I kind of have a suspicion that maybe this bike is bad in E-Road too, because it's light and it feels very nimble and kind of twitchy. Like case in point right there, how it just kind of wants to turn, man. Wherever you're turning, it just wants to do that. And while that can be a good thing sometimes, like it's very agile, it's real easy to get. Oh my gosh, dude, if I ride this out, okay, come on. I know I overcooked the corner, but dude, that was crazy. My headset turned off about a lap ago, so I actually don't have any game volume right now, and it's kind of weird, man. I don't really know what to do. I need a new headset, boys. Let me know down in the comments what headset you think Doc should get, because I've had this headset for about 6 years now, and it's starting to check out. It turns off like this, and sometimes it even it'll just start turning the volume down like in the middle of the stream, and it is just very odd. So yeah, I don't have any volume right now, so it's weird like hearing my voice. I'm not one of those creators that has his voice played back to him in his own headphones, because that seems just like psychotic to me. But so it's very odd hearing my voice like this. But anyway, so yeah, this thing's really good, and I think, you know, as we get into outdoors, I would highly encourage you guys to check out some new bikes. You know, the Gas. The Zook is really good too. Honestly, the Suzuki's really, really good. And it's just slow. The TM's even really good. I really like the TM, but it is also just slow. I was in first gear because I couldn't hear the bike revving. That's on me, my bad. But yeah, like I was saying, the TM is even good. It has some interesting, the suspension is really, really good. The chassis felt good, but it just seems so slow, and I could not get the gearing back to where it was. The Suzuki felt you know, the Suzuki felt heavy, planted, and it would go kind of wherever you wanted it to go, but without but it just didn't have that power that you kind of need to keep up with the KTM. Everything's kind of built around the KTM right now, unfortunately. And so this was, honestly, I think this is my second favorite bike. I would still say I may favor the KTM, as the KTM seems more consistent. It's feels a little bit heavier, feels a little bit more planted, and so a lot of those front tucks that I've been getting, I don't really feel like I get those on the KTM, but this Yamaha is definitely a good option. And I think it might be even pretty good in Supercross. I saw some people trying to run it in some pub lobbies before the servers went down, and they were liking it. This thing, it destroys the whoops because the suspension, but it's just kind of almost too nimble for Supercross, where it just wants to tuck in corners, and I don't know, just doesn't really compete with the KTM or the Husky, in my opinion. The Honda, it's interesting because Finn is running the Honda, or was running the Honda for East Coast 250s, and he was doing really good on it. I jumped on it, and I could see why he was liking it in Soupy, and I figured, well, man, the Honda's always been really good in outdoors. The Honda 250's kind of always been a barker, but I tried it in outdoors and I didn't like it. Maybe it was because I didn't really have a good setup, but I just did not, I just did not like it, and it was kind of strange. I was kind of bummed because I was liking it in soupy, and I was like, well, maybe I'll just switch and run it in both, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I'm trying to get the 20K subs, so if you're still here and you have not subscribed, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it very, very much. And like I said, this bike's not perfect. There's definitely some issues. As you see, I front tuck a lot on it, and I think that you probably will too. But I think if you can get a good setup and everything kind of figured out, this bike might be a really, really, really good option for you. And so I highly suggest checking it out. Anyway, boys, I love you, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. And let's just say a little prayer that the servers come back soon. All right, all right, boys, I love you. No!